What's up, everybody? This is Michael Sean with Unison Games Cafe, and today I'm doing a Kickstarter opening because I got my Altered Kickstarter stuff. Just a quick disclaimer, I am super sick right now, so my voice might sound a little weird, but it does give me the opportunity to spend my time opening some stuff with you guys. So yeah, just forgive the weird voice sound. Okay, so Altered TCG, pretty sweet project. Hopefully you guys have gotten a chance to check it out already. I know we've had some stuff on the channel already about it, but it's a really, really interesting game. I personally backed this one, and so I'm just going to take this stuff out. And what I got was 2 starter decks and a booster box. So here I've got the 2 starter decks and the booster box. What we're going to do is open up the starter decks, and then we're going to have a separate video opening the booster box. So really interesting. So let's talk about the starter decks and what comes in them. So they had me pick my two preferred choices for it, and my first one was Lyra because I'm a musician, so I think it's really cool that we have a whole faction of musicians in this game. So that was my first choice. I can't remember what my second choice was. I know it wasn't Bravos, but they didn't guarantee that you got the 2 that you picked. And so we got the Bravos one, which is cool. It seems to be kind of like the aggro clan, which is cool. I do enjoy playing aggro sometimes, so very cool. So right here, it gives you some of the contents. Yeah, let's take a look at some of these contents down here. There's 40 cards, 1 hero, 31 commons, 8 rares. There's 6 tokens, 5 adventure cards, 2 player aid cards, 1 foiler card, 1 new player card, 15 markers, and 1 paper playmat. So let's go ahead and get this thing open. This game is super unique in that your foilers are things that you can basically say like, oh, I want to print these cards in foil. So it's kind of cool. Also, disclaimer, there are QR codes on here. Don't try to scan them. I've already scanned them all in. So you're not gonna get any luck grabbing some of these cards for yourself. In this game, when you own a card, you can at any time send away to get those cards printed. So buying cards in this game is more like buying the digital right to print the card. So that's kind of a really neat and new and really fresh mechanic that's just involved in the game design of this. So it's pretty interesting. So we got a nice little new player scan digital ownership of your cards by scanning them with the Altered companion app. So yeah, see, there's a QR code right here. There we go. So this is the leader, Nevenka and Blotch. Turn this card sideways. Target character you control, then roll a die. If you get a 6 or more, it gains anchored, which means it gets to stay around for extras. 2 to 5, it gains 1 boost. Okay, that's a +1/+1/+1. And if you get a 1, you send it to a reserve. So if you roll really badly, it just goes away, which is pretty wild. So it shows you can have 2 landmarks and you have 2 reserve. Pretty standard. Awesome. Okay, let's take a look here. So anatomy of a card here, you have the cost and the reserve cost up here in the left hand. You've got the faction that's a part of, and then you've got its individual stats on the different terrains. So we've got 330 here. We've got some flavor text, and then down here we have some kind of reserve ability. So it says return another card from your reserve to your hand. So you discard this from your reserve to do that, which is pretty cool. Cost 2 to play from your hand, 3 to play from your reserve, and you got Hathor. Pretty neat. Down here you have the rarity. This is one of the commons. Every card, so like Hathor, comes as a common, but it also has 2 different rare variations. And one of them will be in another faction. One of them will be in this faction, but slightly different. And then it could have unique versions too. The Hatter.
Bloop.
Pretty cool. Another one that has a reserve effect. Both those not very good at water.
Bloop.
We got Lyra, Cloth Dancer. It has an ability. Up to 1 target character gains fleeting. That's cool. Lyra Chronicler.
Bloop.
404. That seems kind of strong. Ouroboros Croupier.
Bloop.
Roll a die. On a 4+, draw a card. If it's a 1-3, you resupply, which means you put the top card of your deck in reserve. Pretty neat. All in.
Bloop.
Roll a die. Target character gains X boosts, where X is the result. That's pretty neat. Lyra Scald.
Bloop.
Ouroboros Trickster.
Bloop.
Roll a die. On a 4+, I gain 2 boosts. On a 1-3, I gain 1 boost. It's a 0, 0, 0, 0. So it's all just based on how you roll. Pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. We've got a rare here.
Bloop.
So take a look. Here's our regular Ouroboros Trickster. It's a 0, 0, 0. 4+, you gain 2 boosts. On a 1-3, you gain 1. But the rare version is slightly different. It's still a 0, 0, 0. You roll a die. On a 4+, I gain 3 boosts. On a 1-3, I gain 1 boost. So it's even more of a high roll. Esmeralda.
Bloop.
You resupply. That's pretty cool. Oh, and we got another rare here. Esmeralda. This one is, let's see, what's the difference here?
Bloop.
It costs more to play from reserve, but now your resupply is a different kind of ability. So it's probably a good time to talk about those symbols. This game is really streamlined as far as how they're writing their effects. In the rule book, you can see cards have different effects called triggers, depending upon when where they're played from. So that arrow says, regardless of where you play the card from, that thing happens. The hand means it only happens when you play the card from hand. And then this little thing means this activates when the card is played from reserve. So in this instance of Esmeralda, right, you only resupply if you play this from hand, but the rare version says you could resupply even if you play it from reserve. Of course, it costs a little more from reserve, but Paint Prison.
Bloop.
You may discard a card from your reserve to reduce my cost by 2. Return target character or permanent to the top of its owner's deck. Pretty neat. Oh, and we have a rare version too. And our rare version actually has different artwork on it too, which is pretty cool. You may discard. What's our difference here? Oh, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to play. It's a 4/4. But you can only reduce its cost by 1. Pretty neat. Tanuki.
Bloop.
Sabotage. Discard up to 1 target card from reserve. That's a really cool effect. Oh, and here is the rare Tanuki. The rare Tanuki has Sabotage, and then when you play it from reserve, you can roll a die and maybe do another Sabotage. That's pretty neat. Kind of cool.
Bloop.
Asmodeus. Roll a die. On a 4+, I gain Anchored. On a 1-3, I gain 3 boosts. That's pretty strong. It's just big all the time, and it's already a 5/5/5. Of course, it costs 6 to play, unless you have the rare version when it costs 5 to play with 4/4/4 as the stats instead. But that seems pretty solid. Okay, here we have another rare. This is our landmark. Cost 3.
Bloop.
If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the roll of your choice. That seems like it could be pretty integral to the strategy.
Bloop.
When you roll 1 or more dice, I gain 1 boost. So this one just grows as you roll dice, which is cool. These are all rares, by the way.
Bloop.
Off you go. Send to reserve target character with hand cost 3 or less. It's a spell. Pretty neat. So now that we're at the back of this, we can take a look at how to actually set up and play a game. We're not going to go super deeply into it, but these are included in the contents of the starter deck. So at the beginning, you're going to have 3 Tumult cards that will be laid in front of you like this. And you've got a hero side and a companion side, and the goal is that you have 2 separate expeditions, and they're trying to meet in the middle. So as you progress, these get flipped, and now the only way to move in from that region is to have a higher number on your field than your opponent does. And like, for instance, this one would be in either water or mountain, whereas this one you would have to win in forest to move on. So it's pretty neat. Basically, the idea is that you have a counter that starts here and a counter that starts here. Once the counters meet, that's when you win. So it's a really unique gameplay, totally different from anything else on the market right now. They give you this nice rules reminder stuff, and then they give you some tokens that you may need as you're making different sorts of things. And then here's that rare foiler. So what this means is that I could, by having that QR code, it means that I could redeem that to take any one of my rares that I got and then print foil versions of it. So I like own the rights to print all of these cards in non-foil. And because I pulled a rare foiler, I could pick one of the rares, say this one, and I could say now, from now on, when I send away to print this card, I could print it in non-foil or foil. So it's really interesting, and I feel like foilers are really cool in that if you want to foil out things, I feel like it's something that will be really a chase option for collectors. But at the same time, if you just want to play the game and you don't really care if your cards are foil, it can also be really cool. It's something that you can trade away and get cards that you need for what you're paying. All right, let's take a look at Bravos. Okay, so it's gonna have all the same content, so we're gonna skip ahead and just kind of look at the cards that actually come in it. I do like the size of these packaging. One thing that I really hate is when games have starter decks that are like obnoxiously large packaging. We got some of our tokens. We got the mat, the rule book. We saw that from before. Okay, and at the back we have all the tumult cards and stuff, so we'll put those aside since we already understand. We got the new player stuff. So Kojo and Buddha. At noon, if you were the first player, create a Buddha 2/2/2 companion. So that's kind of cool. So you always, in your companion expedition specifically. So the Buddha always joins your companion expedition, which is cool. Isin Boshi. It's a 1/1. It's only good at water, but it has a reserve effect. You can get rid of it. The next character you play this turn gains 1 boost. That actually seems like it could be really solid. Bravos Pathfinder. A lot of these cards are just going to be on the cheaper side here. That's kind of the faction's idea. Haven Trainee. If you play it from reserve, it gets 2 boosts. Seems like a pretty solid play. Kappa. It's a 4/4, and it's just kind of large. That's cool. Haven Bouncer. It has Sabotage when you play it from hand. When you play it from reserve, it gains a boost. Seems pretty solid. Atlas. It's gigantic. I'm considered present in each of your expeditions. That's really neat. So you play it in one, and it's just there both times. 3/3/3, pretty neat. Intimidation. Here's a spell. It is fleeting. Return target character or permanent with hand cost 4 or less to its owner's hand. It's pretty neat. Okay, I'm seeing some rares in here now. Ratatosker. If you play it from reserve, it gains 2 boosts. That's a really good 1-drop. Here's our rare version. The only difference is that it gains 3 boosts instead. Now it's probably a good time to say that the deck building in this game limits how many rares and uniques you can use. Yeah, so this is actually one of my favorite parts of the game. Is the way that they design the cards is really interesting in that you have the same card, but it could be common and common, rare, and unique. But also the restrictions on what can and can't go in your deck. So you can have 3 copies of the same name, doesn't matter what rarity they are. So you can only have 3 Ratatosker, you can't have 3 of these and 3 of the rare ones. It's just you have 3 of that name. In total, your deck can have no more than 15 rare cards, and it can have no more than 3 unique cards. So that's really interesting planning as you're building your deck, making sure that you're playing the rares that you feel like are the most helpful for your deck strategy. We got the Bravos Tracer, which just has fleeting, regardless of where you play it from. So you're probably only going to get it once. Oh, here we go. We've got the rare one. The rare one is pretty aggressive. It's a 4 and a 4 as well. That's pretty cool. Haven Warrior. The rare one is a 4/4/4 and has an ability that you can get rid of it from reserve. The next character you play gains 1 boost. This seems like a just all-around great card. Physical Training. Target character gains 3 boosts. And here we go. The rare version also draws you a card. It does cost 1 more to play. That's pretty cool. Sun Wukong.
Bloop.
Just gains 2 boosts if you play it from reserve. Sun Wukong Rare. Gains 2 boosts and loses fleeting, so it sticks around. That's pretty cool. Shenlong.
Bloop.
It is tough 1. Your opponent's spells and abilities that target me cost 1 more. And it's a 9/9/9. It's really big. And then as a landmark, we've got the Spindle, Luna Bastion. Characters you control have tough 2. And finally, Dorothy Gale.
Bloop.
If you play it from hand, you can send target character to a reserve. That seems really strong. I like that. Well, there you go. That's what I got in my Kickstarter pledge for Altered TCG. If you want to see what actually comes in my box, be sure to check out that video. I'll try to link it in the description. And hopefully you will be enjoying this game as much as I anticipate enjoying it. It seems like a really solid game. I'm looking forward to it. And if you're local to the area, be sure to come down to Unison Games Cafe where you can play it with your friends right here on the table. See you guys really soon.